We see all these cars over Instagram, but there's one truth nobody, and I say so, really nobody talks about. Because half of these guys don't even can afford these cars. Today I want to show you how to calculate if you really want to afford your dream car before it destroys your bank account. Because buying it is the easy part. Keeping it alive is the expensive part. Welcome to the video and let's go. Very honest topic. The most people when they buy a car calculate one thing, and that's the monthly interest rate. Right, Luka?
Yeah, right.
But that's actually the biggest mistake you can do. Because if you check the cost, what a car like this affords you, it's way more than the monthly interest rate. I mean, we're speaking about tires, fuel, gas, insurance. Last but not least, the mods. What is the most important part? I want to show you today a formula that I figured out for myself that works really the most to understand which car you can afford with your budget and which car you should let the fingers off, because you rather burn yourself than enjoying being a guy who's modifying cars. Alright, so hence I want to make sure that I do not give you wrong information or incorrect information. I noted everything down and I'm gonna read a little bit about this because this is a very serious topic, because we all know that when money starts, friendships ends. Income minus fixed costs, free money, right?
Yeah, well, if I calculate like this, I could make 700 to 800 euros interest rate, right?
I mean, that's theoretically step one. Let's take an example, okay? Let's say we have an income of 4,000 bucks, okay? So we have fixed costs, we have rent 1,200, food 4 to 500, insurance 300, phone 50, life 300, okay? What makes a total of 2,250 of costs, right?
Yeah, right.
So free money 1,750. So what actually would make sense to say, I'm gonna go with your 700 to 800, right?
Yeah.
So the issue is, that's only half of the truth. So let's say you want to buy a car that is 40,000 euro, okay? You have to calculate 20% upfront payment. What then is 8,000 euro,
Yeah.
right? And then your monthly rate should not exceed 10% of your monthly salary. What is then 400 euro?
Yeah.
Right? So this will be the logical step. The reality is, people think exactly like you said, Luka. They say, oh, 800, 700, I don't care. So make sure, even if you use the 20-10-10 method, that you always apply the 50% rule. That means your interest rate should not exceed 50% of your free money. Less is always better. I mean, obviously it is, right?
Yeah.
And if we go for 10%, we said a 4,000 euro calculation, right? If I
Right.
remember correct.
Right, yeah.
10% of it is 400 euro interest rate. You should be fine. That's something, even if we minus the 1,750, you're still at 1,350 and you still have money for fuel, other stuff, mods, right? Also maybe taxes. And a lot, I don't know how it's in the US basically, but in Germany you have to pay yearly taxes on the car, right? And also the insurances always raise it every year because it's getting more and more expensive to drive cars like this.
Yes, especially insurance is, I think, the most important part on the car. Because
Absolutely.
you have to get the best insurance if something happens, so it doesn't ruin you.
Exactly. So if we go by the 50% rule, our max would be 875 for the budget. This is what you said,
Yeah.
right? And if we go for the 20-10-10 rule, it would be 400 bucks, right?
Right.
So let's take the example of my Supra. The car that cost me net new price 63,000 euro, and I made an upfront payment of 13,000 euro. What is a little bit more than the 20%, right? Of the 20-10-10 rule. The monthly rate or 350 euro, or gave me the financial freedom to save still enough money for the completion rate, because that was still more than 36,000 euro, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do another finance. I said, if I'm going to buy this car, I want to have enough freedom to put money aside, a lot of money aside, that the car is really me. And this is by far the hardest part of buying these cars. Because as you said, Luka, right? You want to do mods, you want to go to vacation. You need your money on a daily basis, right? For all things. I mean, we all know these Instagram pop-up shops that come up with all the funny things we want to have. Because that's I don't know if this is the time we live in, but if I remember in the 90s or in the early 10th, we didn't have that like that. You bought your car, you bought your parts, and you saved money, and that's it. Or people financed it back then, like having credits of 80, 90K, and they just bought the car and all the parts of the thing, and then just brought it to the shop.
I mean, if you buy a car like this, you have to sacrifice some things like vacations or doing clubbing and buying expensive clothes or expensive stuff.
I mean, the answer is yes and no. If you go for the math that we did with not extending 50%, then yes, because it's still a lot. But if you go with the 20-10-10, you really should be fine, right? And here's how smart people do it. They make an emergency fund first. So they're gonna save that 800 euro that you mentioned. They're gonna save that money 6 to 9 months first before they buy the car, and having 6 to 9 months this whole sacrifice, because that 1,700 something we spoke about earlier, they're gonna put it all aside, and they make 9 months sacrifice.
Yeah.
Half of saving the money for the initial payment, right? For the first payment that you have to pay, and the other half for an emergency money. Because if you're a family father and you tell your wife you don't go to the vacation this year, you're gonna be in deep trouble.
Yeah, of course.
Never go the other way around. First buy the car and then make the emergency fund.
Yeah, but I think that's the kind of options most young people do if they buy like a car like this, right?
Okay, so let me ask you this: you're gonna do it like that, and you don't do emergency fund, and your turbo brakes.
Yeah, you're screwed.
You're screwed.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're gonna wait ages until you're gonna drive your car again. The next thing is, and this is something everybody has to decide on their own, and this is really my personal impression: what car for what salary? I got numbers, but they're totally because you have to have it in your feelings. Okay? If you just earn $2,000, you should be aware that you can afford a 911. Except your dad is super rich and he funds it to you, right? But if you have a salary for 4,000, 5,000, for example, California salaries are like super high and you have 7,000, if not your whole budget goes onto the monthly rent, you could easily afford a nice Mercedes or a BMW. Eric once said to me, don't overspend your budget. And I think that's the honest answer we can say here. If you apply the 20-10-10 rule, right? I come to the last 10% that will come later in the video, where we said 20% upfront payment, 10% of your monthly base salary, net base salary payment of the rate, you should be absolutely fine. Don't calculate insurances in, okay? And don't calculate fuel in, because it will lower the amount of money you actually can pay to the bank. Now let's a little bit divide the 20-10-10 rule. But what are actually the last percentage of it? Do you know it, Luka?
The last percentage of
The last 10%, yeah.
10%.
Where are they for? So the last 10% are like for running costs of the car. So for example, I'm not speaking about fuel or insurance. I'm speaking about repair, mods. I mean, we're car guys, we love to speak about mods.
Yeah.
If you're gonna save another 10% every month on a dedicated bank account for mods, for repairs, inspections, if you don't go for the emergency fund and you don't go for the last 10%, you can get yourself in trouble. I mean,
Yeah.
that's something a little bit. I hate this playing around with fears of people. Okay, I that's something they do when they sell you an insurance, when they sell you the super squishy thing you want to have. Don't go for that. Okay, just listen to yourself. What you can afford, and if you do the 20-10-10 calculation, you actually should be pretty safe. Okay, and go with the emergency fund in the beginning. Sacrifice that first 9 months. Then make 20% of upfront payment. Maybe you can sell your old car that is already you, and you're gonna put some stuff on top, and you can afford your dream car. So we have to say that we actually filmed the whole video, and then Luka mentioned a very good point.
So actually, if you're struggling to pay payments for the car, I would suggest that you just, if it's like a 3 years financial, you finance the car 3 years, that you're gonna do it like 3 years with no mods, and after you finance it, you can spare some money at
Towards some mods then, instead
right.
of an interest rate
Right.
or a bigger payment then, right?
Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, we have to say, you did it like that.
I did exactly like that.
Exactly
So
like
I'm
that, yeah.
sharing my experience with it.
Yeah, and I think that's very honest. I mean, we have to say you're quite young. I mean, except to me, you're quite young, right? And a lot of people are asking themselves, how can these young guys afford these cars? Well, the reality is most of them do it like that.
Yeah,
right?
and also, especially me, I sacrificed a lot of things like vacation and something. I just paid the car, and I worked and paid the car, nothing else.
Yeah, I mean but that's a sacrifice you took,
Yeah.
right? And that's in reality, your Supra is paid.
Yeah.
I mean, how many owner of cars like M2, M4 or BMW Supra we know that have a paid car in the garage? Right, so coming back to the topic we just stopped. I don't know if I can say that statement like this, but people financing their parts.
Financing the parts.
Financing parts, yes.
Lots.
Like rims,
Yeah.
coilovers, hoods, bonnets.
I mean, for some parts it's reasonable. Like coilovers, they're pretty expensive, so you can finance it. But if you finance a car and coilovers, and you have other payments like your rent or something, it's gonna be much. Yeah.
So the thing is here, and that's pretty obvious. If you plan to mod your car and you finance it, calculate these parts into the first 10% of the 20-10-10 rule. Okay? So rather go with a cheaper car that is heavily modified, if you're a real car guy, than buying the big one and overspend your budget. Okay? I think that's something I'm gonna be really honest. The KW coilovers I had before in the car, they were financed. They were like,
Yeah, mine as well. Yeah.
I had like $150 a month that I paid. I mean, the coilover set was like nearly 4,000 euro. I think 3,600, 3,700 something. I don't know the correct price, to be really honest. But it was pretty expensive. The DDC ones, the KW V3 DDC, and I financed it. Why? Because I had to buy the rims and the tires, and everybody who knows the wheel force prices knows that it's literally unaffordable to buy that kind of coilovers and that kind of rims with tires in 1 month. I mean, except your name is Elon Musk,
Also,
right?
a big point of financing the coilovers was for me, I had like 0% interest rate.
Yeah, sometimes they have.
Yeah, so I said, yeah, okay, I'm gonna finance it, because it doesn't matter if you finance it or pay it directly, right?
Also the guy, the tuner where I bought the Simon rear spoiler, because I wanted to have that spoiler so bad. And guys, I mean, me and Luka, we're super drivers, and super drivers tend to modify the cars. I said to him, hey, I can't give it to you now, but I can give it to you in 3 months, because the spoiler was like 1,600 euro, and honestly, my wife chops my head if I'm going to spend 1,600 euro just for spoilers, right? I mean, I have a responsibility to my family, everybody. If you're single and you don't, lucky you, okay? But I had. So I said to the guy, hey, I have to give it to you, split it to 3 times. And you know what he said though? That's okay. I'm just sending it to you so you can command it already. I mean, that's like super rare that you have people like this, okay?
Yeah.
But I made like every month I paid it. And the last month for the third month, after 2 weeks, I checked my bank account and said, I'm gonna pay it now because I hated to be in debt somewhere.
Yeah, same.
I hated so much to be in debt somewhere, okay? Even when me and Luka go to, I don't know, a car show, and Luka pays the dinner, and I say, hey, what do you get? He's like, nah, it's okay. I'm gonna feel so sad, right? I really feel sad. Last step and personal summary. If you can't afford the payment, you can't afford the car. But do the math before and don't bring yourself into a situation that, how to say, maybe financially ruins you.
It can obviously financially ruin you. Yeah.
So please try it before you, and this is really something I beg you all. Before you buy a car next time, no matter if you're a family father, if you're single, I mean, this video is not just for car guys, it's for everybody. Everybody who wants to buy a car and thus has the question, can I afford this car? If you use the 20-10-10 rule, you actually should be good to go. Right? I mean, this is how I did it with my Supra. This is how I did it before with my GDI that I had. This is how I did it with my Mercedes that I had before. And I mean, Luka knows me. I tend to have my cars actually very long, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I need new cars every 3 years. I mean, between us, I would love to have new cars every day, but I literally can't afford it.
If you think like this, I would go for leasing, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, that's the next big question. Ask yourself if you want to go for the lease or if you want to go for the financing way. That's the most common things in Europe. I think in the US, you have also a fee that you have to pay to the vendor, right? To the sales vendor. There's like, I think, off payment, like plus interest, plus off payment plus salesman fee. There's like, they have incredible rates, okay? Be aware that you don't get trapped there. And make the math before you buy a car. And the internet is full of codes and of people who tell you, I have like now my 4th M4 and I can't afford it. Usually people don't. Except your, I don't know, TJ Hunt or your, I don't know, JP Performance, or the people who really made, who have like 20 to 80 cars, or you're a multimillionaire. But if you usual person like I am, or Luka is, or Eric and Nishi back there fixing the Trabi, that's a calculation you have to do. Full stop. And if you go for that calculation, you actually should be safe. Right?
Right.
Okay. A little shorter video today, but I think a very important one, because a lot of you guys asked, how can I afford that Supra and all these modifications and things, and that's exactly how I do it. But you have to say, I'm not like in fashion or like in new phones or in expensive watches or other stuff. I'm more likely, I mean, Luka, you know me now for a couple of times. The only thing that counts for me is cars.
Cars and car parts.
Yeah.
And sometimes shoes, right?
Sometimes. Okay, I have a fable for Jordans. So Nike, if you're gonna see this and you love to give me some new sneakers, me and Luka, we're the persons to speak to, okay? What brings me also to today's video sponsor, and this is Zoran. Zoran provided me that very nice t-shirt. That is a 290 GSM, and a pretty young company from the UK that actually is building up now their business. And they didn't, I mean, they kind of gifted it to me, I have to be really honest, okay? But they really like the quality. And they don't have prices yet for the t-shirt. They're just sending stuff out to influencers to test it. And we're one of the testers. And we have to say that the t-shirts are pretty dope.
They're really good, especially from the quality, they're really good, yeah.
Exactly. So please check their website, zoran.com, and make yourself a picture of the shirts. Thank you so much, Isaac from Zoran, for providing us the shirts. And yeah, guys, if you like what you see, you know what to do. And until then, Me and Luka catching you guys in the next one. Cheers. Bye bye.